Welcome to Wild Angle episode 6. Well, the sun is shining and everything feels great, doesn't it? It's hard to kind of imagine when you're out here listening to the bird song that things are going on in the world that are very, very different, but they are, and I hope that I'm bringing you a little bit of relief from that. Thanks for all the comments as well, it's so appreciated. I'm such a rubbish editor at Premiere that putting this show together is such stress, and it makes it all worthwhile knowing that maybe I'll make you laugh for a few minutes of the day and teach you some things as well. It's been a busy week for me this week. I've challenged myself to go out there and raise some money for the NHS Masks for Heroes campaign to give our NHS heroes some much needed PPE. Lots of people are doing it. So I decided to do a webinar. We raised £700, so that was really great on the first one. And I've got another one this weekend, this Saturday. So if you want to join in for a good cause and hear all about my career for about an hour, showing lots of pictures, lots of fun chat, then you'll find the links all over my social media. Now for our film this week, I wanted to do something in your garden again that you could do, but something a little bit more challenging. And a lot of you will think what we're doing is going to be impossible. Trust me, it's not, because if a Muppet like me can do it, then you can certainly do it too. And it shows you how to make the best of maybe a zoom lens that you have lying around to take macro style pictures. All right, without revealing it, here's the film and I'll be back after. Welcome to my garden. You can see there's building work in progress. It's actually drying work because, as you know, we live in a flooded house. In the corner of the garden here, I find a little oasis where I can do some really good photography. Now, in Wild Angle episode 2, I showed you how to do basic garden bird perches to get some pictures, and I'm really pleased to say how adaptable you've all become and what great pictures you're getting. And of course, during lockdown, we have to become adaptable. We have to find local stuff, none more so than me. Well, I found some local stuff right here in this patch of purple flowers, which are, Susie? Pulmonaria, garden or not. It's been really cool, and I've given it the Andy Rouse twist. Want to know what it is? Well, come down and have a closer look. So what's the challenge? It's to get a bee or a bee fly in flight feeding on one of these flowers. It's a tough shot because normally, if you'd ever tried this professionally, you'd probably use triggers to trigger everything. You'd use lights and everything else. I'm just going to use the sun, and there's a bee fly right next to me there. Wow, he's right next to me, Suze. He's buzzing like a foot from my head. All right, my challenge to myself is to get a photograph of a bee or a bee fly in mid-air next to a flower. Now, normally you would do this with triggers to trigger the bee in flight and lights and setups. I've got one camera, one lens, and one extension tube. This is very important. I love using a long lens for this kind of photography, and I've obviously need the power of the camera to do it. The problem is that this lens, long lenses, they don't focus close. This one focuses 1.4 meters. So these extension tubes that go between the camera and the lens allow you to focus a lot closer. When you buy them, make sure they've got the gold connectors that you see there. Very important, because that allows the autofocus and exposure information to go between the camera and the lens. They're also very useful if you want to be in a James Bond film. See, have a monocle, you can be or you want to get engaged to your local giant. They're a giant's engagement ring. Oh, see, I bring you lots of useful information, don't I? They're great. Don't get anything that's cheap, all right? It's not worth it. You need to get a decent one that's got the connectors, and trust me, it's the key to doing fun things like this. All right, tech setup, okay? So shutter speed is king. 4,000th of a second or greater, because you've got to see the wings either blurred or still, but you've got to see them. Any slower and you won't see them at all. So put the camera into auto ISO on shutter priority S. Put it at 4,000th of a second. The camera on a bright sunny day like this will keep you with a good shutter speed. Forget photographing this on anything other than a bright sunny day. The bees are more active, you get the shutter speed you want, and you feel good. And it's warm apart from today where it's colder than you actually think. That's why the bees are not quite here yet, but they will be. Depth of field doesn't really matter. You want to keep it down. With macro, everyone's like f11, f16. Not for this. f4, 5.6, something like this. That's what you want to do, because you want to throw that background out of focus. The focusing technique, you need continuous focus on this all the time, and the fastest drive that you can set. The way that I'm doing it is using Pro Capture. Okay, Pro Capture is a brilliant mode on the camera. And what I'm doing, I'm letting the bee go into the flower, okay? Then I'm focusing on it. And when the bee comes out of the flower, I'm then pressing the button all the way down when it gets to about here. That means the camera then immediately records all the pictures to the buffer from the to there. And hopefully I might get one that's in focus. It's got to fly out exactly parallel. If it doesn't, the picture's rubbish and out of focus. You keep trying and trying and trying and trying. It's got to be perfect to work, but you know what? It's so much fun. And the tech is just the same as setting up a normal picture. You've just got to convince yourself that you can do it and keep trying, trying, trying and trying. And if you haven't got any plants in your garden that attract bees, shame on you, because bees need all the friends they can get. Once our garden centres open again and it's safe to do so, go and get some bee-friendly plants and put them in your garden. Yes, it can help you, your photography, but more important, it helps bees, and bees need all the friends that they can get. Now, one additional tip I forgot to mention was to set the focus limiter. You can see it on the top here on the lens. A lot of them have focus limiters like 1.5 meters to infinity. But in this case, I've got several. I've got 1.4 to 4 meters, 1.4 to infinity, and 4 to infinity. Only one of those is valid. That's the 1.4 to 4 meters, because I don't want the lens having to try to autofocus the background or anything else. I want it to limit itself. So always trying to choose one of these kind of limit ranges on the lens. Some cameras have it too. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. But if you do, use it, because it will speed up your autofocus and it will give you a much higher hit rate in your photography, which is what we all want, right? Well, it's been a fun morning, but it's now time to go inside as the light is getting a little bit too high. I'm not getting any light underneath the bees anymore. I've had busier mornings here, if I'm honest with you, but it's been a lot of fun. I've just sat and watched the bees coming in. I had a couple of bee flies sitting on the grass, not really feeding much, but it's just brilliant to watch. I saw a starling go into the house, into nest in the side. It's just been awesome. So just remember, this is a really simple garden thing for you to try. Just keep your shutter speeds high, above a 4,000th of a second. Watch your light angles, watch your backgrounds, and always keep trying. Never ever give up. You don't get many pictures doing this, but what you get is truly awesome. Good luck. Well, I hope that you found that little film really, really useful and you feel inspired to go out and do it. And just remember, I've never really done that before, okay? I was making it up as I went along. It was a terrible set of days to do it. It was windy, it was cold, it wasn't the best, and it's early in the season. There will be more bees, it will be warmer, there'll be more flowers, better conditions, okay? So it will get easier, and I hope that you'll all feel challenged to go and do it. And I know a few of you do it already. I've seen some great pictures. I just want the majority of you to know exactly how to, so you can occupy your days and really, really push your photography forward. Now, I looked at the image critique folder and it's growing, so I thought I'd better get stuck in this week. So I selected a few images from one really nice photographer. So here you go. Have a look at my critiques and maybe you'll learn a new thing or two. Welcome to our photo critique section in our beautifully designed studio that you can see here, which is actually the spare bedroom. I'm joined as usual by Sean, who's going to offer silent, if not valuable, feedback on all of your pictures. And looking cool today, thanks to my young daughter's obsession with Peppa Pig. Welcome to Jack Bishop. Jack has sent in some really cool images and I've picked a few, as usual, to do a few tweaks to give him some good constructive feedback and hopefully a few of you some good hints and tips too. So Sean says yes, Not really saying anything really. So let's get on. All right. Absolutely beautiful picture. Look at that coot at sunset. I know it's a sunset, or it could be sunrise, but you must be mad to get up at sunrise. So I think it's sunset because you can see the sun in the eye. What a great picture. Look at the reflection. I've got my dodgy pen here. Look at the reflection all around there. It looks like peacock feathers reflected in the water. That's what you get for shooting on a lake with trees surrounding it, late light. Maybe a little bit of wind on the water, or there's been some other activity on the water that's kind of rippled it up. It's great. You don't always need a perfect mirror reflection. In fact, this really makes it. You've got the reflection in perfectly. You've got the reflection without any kind of ripples on it perfectly. You've got the head turned beautifully to one side. You've caught the light absolutely perfectly, and you've given it loads of space. What more can I actually say, to be honest? I mean, it's a really great shot, Jack, and you should be really, really proud of yourself. It's really awesome. I've done a few little tweaks to it because you asked me to. First thing, I've shifted it slightly across so that it looks across into the left-hand part of the image and looks across into dead space. Sean gave me that advice. So it looks across into some dead space. So I've kind of just cropped it slightly. I've also cropped it slightly so that some of the curls come out of the corners a little bit more. So I do something with the corners. And I've increased the wow factor, the punch out the screen, okay? Just doing that with a little bit of contrast, just to make it jump from the screen a bit. What I did when I noticed when I added the contrast, it also added the highlight a lot on the beak, which I don't like, so I painted that back in the way it was. So I've increased the contrast of the whole picture, minus the beak, because basically you asked me to. But if I hadn't have done anything, Jack, it would still been a great picture. So well done. No, Sean's not going to give you a trotter clap. Is that what we're going to call it? Right, anyway. All right, tiger. Now, Jack told me this was in a zoo, which is great. Thanks for the honesty, Jack. It's a really beautiful picture of a tiger in very late light. Look at that. You can see the eyes and everything else. It's really, really cool. There's a couple of things that I would do if I could shoot it again. The first is I would shoot it landscape, okay? Because shooting it portrait, we've cut the legs off. I'm not a great fan of Damien Hirst. We cut half of a cow and put it in formaldehyde. It's art to some people. To me, it's not. I believe you should have head and shoulders or the whole body and nothing in between. So when you're shooting like this, head and shoulders or all the legs and nothing in between. So here we've just got above the knees. The composition, it just doesn't quite look right. And I know the situation it's in. It's a grab shot, okay? You're shooting through wire or fence or something. I know how difficult it is to do this. So hats off to you for getting such a great light picture anyway. But I would have shot this landscape, which would have given us a little bit more compositional help. As it is, I tried to crop it to landscape and there's just not enough on the right hand side to do it. The tiger's too far over. So what I need to do, as you see here, is actually crop it in a bit and make something more of it. So I've cropped it a lot harder on the left hand side, right against the lug hole there. Sorry, the foreign people, the lug hole ear, a British Cockney term, lug hole. And so you have it against that left hand ear there. And I think that looks a lot better. It's looking into the frame. You can see the leading back going there, just fading away. The eyes are beautifully shot. I mean, you did a really good job to get the eyes. They don't have half moons or anything. I like your use of late light because you had that as well in the previous shot. And I like it here very much. I could have done things. I could have taken it maybe right down on its exposure and got the eye just shining out because the eye is certainly bright enough. But I like the way that that body faded off into the distance. So I just decided to leave it like this. And you've kind of got head and shoulders there at the bottom. I dropped it at the V. Good thing is I don't have to use head and shoulders anymore. It's a shame actually because I could have got some really good corporate advertising for the channel because I could have done, you crop it to head and shoulders. And here this week, Sean's using the new head and shoulders. No? Okay, obviously not. Random as usual. But I like it anyway, so really, really good job. Well done. No. Sean's still not going to give us... You like that one? He said he liked that one. All right. So this is a snow leopard, and it's a really, really, really nice picture of a snow leopard. It's obviously in a zoo. Well, yeah, it is this close, but nothing wrong with that at all because we can't all go swanning off to Tibet and photograph them when they're 2 miles away. Or wherever else you go in the world, I should say. So here, I really like this image very, very much indeed. It's got lovely focus. It's lovely and soft on the eyes. It's got really nice blurring around the side, left-hand side, and the bottom there. So it's focusing my eye. It's like a natural vignette, if you like. It's focusing my eye on the subject, and doing things like this in zoos is very difficult. What have I done to it? There's my version. First of all, I didn't like the colour cast that was on it, okay? So the colour cast that was on it was slightly yellow and green. If I go back, I can show you. There you go. So it's slightly yellow and green. So I've taken that out and gone to a more neutral red, more neutral white colour cast. So it's the true colour of the snow leopard. I've brought out some of the detail. Unfortunately, that's brought out some of the noise that was underneath. If I'd have had the raw, maybe I could have got rid of that for you, but I don't mind that because it's a really beautiful picture. I have retained all of your lovely surroundings on the left and the bottom, Jack, because you've done a really good job there. So I've kept that in. I don't want to bring that detail out because it kind of frames in the edge, bang, bang, frames in the edge, I think, of the snow leopard really nicely. I've cropped it in because there's a little bit too much space on the right, and I've darkened the top edge, okay? So apart from that, oh, and I've lightened the eyes a tiny, tiny amount, but that was a really, really great shot. You did really, really, really well. That's it. Look, you've got the Sean hand in the air. Shall I put your hand there? You all right there? Right, good. Drink, massage, all of those things. Really, really great job there. And yeah, that's 3 excellent images. And if you want your images featured like this, you know exactly what to do. Get the email from the description below, send me some on email, and let's see where we go. But well done, Jack. Good job, mate. Thanks again, Jack, for sending in those pictures. Much appreciated, and I hope that you all got something out of that. We're not quite finished yet. Last week I set a sunset photo challenge, and I want to say thank you to the people that sent the pictures in from the gardens or just behind. First off, we have Mike Woolley. Mike took this awesome picture of a goldfinch. He doesn't quite see the sunset from his garden, but you can see the lovely light coming through the trees, and what a gorgeous picture of a gorgeous bird. So well done, Mike. And then look at these pictures. 16-year-old Federico Ciaschia, excuse me if I get that wrong, Federico, from Italy. How amazing are these in his back garden, these insects against the setting sun? This is real art and real style, and you, my son, so he cocked me there, are a real talent. Keep it up. They're absolutely great. What a beautiful set of pictures. As always, if you want to get your pictures featured in the critiques or anything else, email address is below. Thanks for all your support. The NHS webinar is this weekend. The links are on social if you can support me. And now I will be doing some webinars in the next few weeks on photography, things like silhouettes, creative images, that kind of thing. So keep an eye out for those. I'm going to keep the cost very low at £10 each. Wild angle will always be free. And I've already shot next week's as well. It's a similar theme to this week, what you can do on your local patch. So without further ado, I'm going to say goodbye, stay safe, keep positive, and be nice to each other. See you next week. Bye.